The first thing I'm drawn to with this Hiromu Takahashi figure is definitely the tights. He does have a good variety of color and craziness just like his real attire. I feel like there's maybe a few layers of coloring and paint, a few splash effects maybe missing, but overall he does have a lot, even just detail on the kind of belt part. He's saying time bomb, has pictures of the bombs, boom. I mean, the theming's there, and I like the furry boots. They're not a real fur, but I feel like the coloring texture is actually pretty true to the way his kind of weird mixed color fur boots are. But I don't know if you can kind of see the legs are bowing kind of weirdly out this way. I don't know if that's just mine. I have a mixed part, like when you bend it, you can see he's splitting the legs kind of weird. I have a wrong part. Again, the leg articulation on these New Japan Super 7 figures is kind of pretty limited compared to a lot of other figures. I mean, you can only kind of move back so far. There's like a tiny bit of swivel. It's not enough to counter that kind of, I don't know if you call it bow-legged or what the opposite is, out the other way. But the designs are there. Where the designs aren't is this jacket, which is a cool jacket. I don't think there's an actual zipper, but it has this kind of belt piece here you have to pull out. Jeez, it's like inside the buckle. Well, this is going to be rough. Just to kind of unhook that. Typically he has a jacket with like the same kind of overuse of logos and things like that. Here he just has a white jacket, and I've searched and searched. I can't find any picture or time that he wore just a plain white jacket. So I feel like this was supposed to be covered in these logos or whatever, and they just didn't do it. Like, didn't have the budget, or just for whatever reason didn't finish the jacket. But then he still comes with it. And the problem with that is, like, this line, the clothes have been kind of the highest quality part of it, because, like I said, like the leg articulation isn't amazing. The rest of the body is pretty standard for a lot of 6-inch figures, so you're paying a lot for these, and the clothes are usually what makes up the difference. This jacket, I don't think he wore just a plain white jacket. And he had so many other entrance gear options. He always has crazy entrance gear, and here, you know, pretty sad representation. If I was Hiromu opening my own action figure, I would be like, this is my jacket? What is this? So no zipper. It's just kind of this buckle thing. I don't know how I would ever do that, but I mean, he's typically one that would be wearing it, you know. The buckle's hanging there. It's just like, ooh, I'm kind of loose like that. It would be a nice jacket for somebody else if they needed one, but it doesn't really fit his style very well. He kind of has maybe too wide of a chest. I mean, he is a junior heavyweight. He's kind of a lighter weight wrestler going for that junior heavyweight championship. They kind of have him pretty wide chested here. But when you're doing your action figure, you make him buff, so it's just the way it is. You can see the hair, you know, the red dye. Again, the problem is, you know, paying pretty high price for these, and they're not doing the facial printing. It's just the clothes were kind of the value. It certainly looks like Hiromu, but doesn't have like the subtlety of a lot of lines with other 6-inch figures anymore. Just doesn't quite have the detail of those. He does have two different kind of tapes. This is kind of a cool detail. He has a longer tape on this side, shorter tape, and it actually looks like the texture of tape. You know, you can see all the lines and things. So a little interesting that way, but Hiromu went super strong mode here with his very buffness. So we have the alternate head. Here, you know, just a plain kind of expression. Here we have what he's supposed to be doing is kind of his tongue out sort of expression. And you can look in there, there is the tongue. It's not quite sticking out enough for me. I'm sure it's probably difficult to put together, whatever they did here. There's a tongue in there. I don't know if you're going to get to see it too much on your shelf if you're going to use this head. Let's try to note how high this sits on the neck, because sometimes one of the heads will kind of be too high on the necks. I'm not sure if you're getting that problem with this one. It looks like it sits okay. Sometimes you run into that with this New Japan line, is you'll use one head and it'll be up high, and another head will actually sit lower like it's supposed to. Of course, plenty of alternate hand options. They're pretty good about that. Here he just has fists, so it doesn't really fit his kind of tongue out expression. You kind of have crazier looking hands. Plenty of options there. Let's look at some height comparisons to other figures. This Hiromu is supposed to be 5 foot and 7.5 inches tall. How very precise. So he should be a lot shorter than some of the others, but he's looking like the same height as pretty much everybody, even though he's probably several inches shorter than the others in real life. And the physique's probably a little big, as I kind of mentioned before, because he is supposed to be the junior heavyweight. But usually I say say inches in real life, so we're talking pretty small measurements in action figure world, so I like them to be more accurate, of course, but if you're really worried about it, you know, you kind of pose him in a way to keep him lower, something like that, but I think it's going to be hard to do because he has this weird leg problem with standing. Might make him a little difficult to pose. That might have been a style choice just because he does kind of act kind of weird. He's always kind of being off the wall in some way or another. I don't know if that was a design choice to make his legs like that or what it was. I don't know if they just ran out of budget here with the accessories, but he didn't come with like the Junior Heavyweight Championship that they did already include with the Will Ospreay figure. Of course, he kind of had a popular little entrance item in his Daryl the Cat, which is just kind of a toy brand in Japan. Not called Daryl, he just named his Daryl. It's kind of lazy looking cats. If there was like a keychain sized one or something that you could kind of put with this figure, it'd be pretty cool, but I think the smallest one would be, you know, the height of the entire figure. So if you want him to have like a giant one with him to pose him with, it'd be cool to get one. But I'd be on the lookout for a small version so that he could kind of have that with him. I mean, it's another company, so they didn't include anything like with the figure, but they did do like a New Japan themed one just because he was, you know, kind of getting the free advertising off of the wrestler using him in the ring. But he doesn't really have that anymore for the most part. But it was kind of an iconic thing that you might want with the action figure just to represent on your shelf, which is what this will still do if you want Hiromu on your shelf with your wrestlers. He's got several flaws, but I think you actually have two good options with the head. Usually one of the heads is something that is weird or scary going on. I like that this one has like the hair kind of in the face, kind of you see him in that style here. This one slicked back like maybe he's fighting in the ring and he's doing this expression and stuff, and they're not able to do too subtle of appearance because they're not using the facial printing, but two decent options for the figure at least. Probably the worst figure in the wave for the value because you're not getting the proper entrance gear that you probably deserve. That probably would have evened it out for me, I think. If he would have just had his jacket with the same crazed designs as the tights, I would have been like, hey, everything's pretty excusable, but no jacket, and then a lot of the other problems with just sizing and just a few lacking things here and there. I don't know if it'd be worth to wait for another Takahashi later. It could be a while, or they might actually start adding in, you know, repeat characters pretty soon just to try and reuse parts and things like that. I'm pretty sure we'll see another Okada soon, probably in this line if they do continue, just to kind of do the old action figure trick of reusing some parts and just kind of recoloring, make it more modern, up to date. Evil would be one. But I still wanted to add the Crazy Cat to the New Japan lineup here. Didn't want to miss out on him. Still going to look pretty good on the shelf. You can give him something like the trophy that Will Ospreay came with, or the Junior Heavyweight Championship, kind of spruce him up that way since he didn't get his entrance gear. Still fun to have in the old collection there. So I'm going to open up all the figures of the Wave 2 here. You can check out individual looks at all the New Japan figures here and all my other wrestling and other things I collect here. So leave a like if you liked seeing Hiromu here, just to get a close-up look at everything and my take on what this figure came with. So hopefully we'll see you in the next video here. Meow, 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 meow.